Notre Dame Cathedral of Ottawa is a masterpiece created entirely by our architects and sculptors. It belongs to a class of wooden and stone churches which bears witness to a fine building tradition, and it ranks among some of the inspired works whose great beauty comes as much from their magnificence as from the profound faith of the artisans who crafted the sanctuary. The most surprising and fascinating aspect of this sanctuary is the richness of its Gothic ornamentation and the originality of its iconographic program. It is in studying the decoration and especially the sculptures of the sanctuary that the spirit of Canon Bullion's utmost creativity becomes evident. Strongly inspired by a long medieval tradition and influenced by the Neo-Gothic movement, this iconography is at once complex yet coherent, traditional yet innovative, symbolic yet largely accessible. Although it has a traditional air, it bears the markings of its 19th-century central Canadian roots. The sanctuary of Notre Dame of Ottawa permits us to enter into the circle of a great assembly, patriarchs, prophets, apostles, and saints gathered around Christ, amidst the angels, in the glory of the heavenly Jerusalem. But surprisingly, in different niches of honor, we recognize Saint Joseph, patron saint of Canada, as well as Saint John the Baptist, and Saint Patrick, patron saints of the Archdiocese of Ottawa. The ornamental ensemble of the sanctuary conceived by Canon Bullion was realized between 1876 and 1885 by a team of craftsmen, carpenters, and sculptors, the most familiar being Philippe Parisot, Flavien Rochon, Olindo Grattan, and Philippe Ebert. Often the same men who labored at the cathedral site also worked on the Parliament buildings. Most of these men lived nearby and were either parishioners or fervent admirers of Bullion, although some were total strangers to the city, such as Philippe Ebert, a Montreal artist whom Bullion summoned in 1879. At that time this young sculptor had neither a job nor prospective employment and was planning to move to the United States. He later became famous throughout Canada for his monumental bronze sculptures, and the cathedral prides itself on having more than 60 of his wooden sculptures, his greatest sculptural ensemble. At the entrance to the sanctuary, in the two lateral rows joining the nave's side aisles, have been erected secondary altars of sculpted wood, covered with gold leaf and decorated with precious stones. They are rather like the shutters of a giant triptych of azure and gold. The altar located on the left side of the sanctuary was built in 1879 and dedicated to the Sacred Heart. On the right side of the sanctuary is the altar dedicated to the Blessed Virgin pictured. Built in 1885 and dedicated to the Virgin Mary, it is the most splendid of this church's three altars, and Canon Bullion's final realization in the cathedral.
The collection of sacred vessels, liturgical vestments, old silverware and antique oil paintings which are in the possession of the cathedral is precious and of great interest. Most of these artworks come from Europe, and are mainly of Italian origin.
A chasuble and a stole in cloth of gold, part of a superb ensemble of rich liturgical vestments. Golden chalice decorated with precious stones offered to Alexander Vachon, 6th Bishop of Ottawa, by his mother, on the occasion of his ordination to the priesthood, May 22, 1910. Golden chalice decorated with 6 enameled medallions, offered to Canon Georges Bullion on the occasion of his Golden Jubilee, January 25, 1924. Thank you so much for watching. When you in the heart of nation's capital, do not miss to visit this historical, picturesque Church of Notre Dame Cathedral Basilica.